There we go. Hello and welcome, everyone. This is our first onboarding webinar. So if you were here for the traditional Q&A, that is not this webinar. This webinar is going to be directed for new users who are looking to get connected to their system and getting those first initial steps out of the way. So for those of you who are here, welcome. And we'll wait a minute or two, and then we'll jump right in so we can respect your time as well. Just make sure my camera's working as well. There we go. Excellent. Oh, let's just adjust that here. Perfect. Hello, everyone. So we can see each other. Oh, we are sliding down. There we go. Perfect. All right. So it is 2:01 Eastern Time. Let's change this banner here. We'll save that. Great. So everyone, my name is Andrew. I am the Customer Success Manager here at Planetar. And so we will be jumping right into getting you set up and connected to your hopefully brand new PLANIX system, or perhaps you're just adding this and you were previously using the IMS5. In any case, let's jump right in. So we do have a question section. Let me just make sure that's enabled. It should have been. I do see some messages in the chat. So for those of you who are asking questions with regards to product support questions, I would encourage you to check our support section and reach out to our product support team. This webinar is for onboarding of new operators or those of you looking to do the onboarding section of your PLANIX. So for those of you who have joined and you've got your system, I would encourage you to follow along with me. So if you have your PLANIX available, go ahead and grab it now. And just go ahead and post in the chat if you are going to grab it, and I'll wait an extra moment for you. And then we'll do the steps to get you connected. And yeah, this will be great. Not that I have too much to share on my screen, but I'll go ahead and do that anyways. Actually, I don't really see if there will be much benefit to that, but we'll go from there. Waiting for delivery as we speak. Fantastic. We are going to do these more regularly. So even if today, if you forget some things, we're gonna see if we can do these on a more frequent basis. And if you don't mind just confirming that you can actually hear me loud and clear, I want to make sure that the audio is sufficient. And in the meantime, I will share this window here. Just so that everyone knows where to go when they need help outside of these onboarding sessions. Okay, for the rest of you that are here, I don't see any comments, so I'm going to assume that you have your PLANIX with you. Fantastic. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and open up your case, and you're going to see your PLANIX, of course, and you're going to see the chargers in the case as well. If you haven't already done so, I do recommend that you plug it in. It will take about 4 hours to give you a full charge, but you can leave it plugged in just for the purpose of getting connected and getting everything set up. Yes, to answer your question, you can do those types of floor plans. That would be in a bit more of an advanced capturing process because you want to account for elevations on something like an airplane, for example. But if you reached out to our support team, they can kind of give you some guidance there. But to answer your question in short, absolutely. And I believe we would be able to provide you some examples. I'm not sure what they have in their inventory as far as what they can share, but if you've had a chance to talk with a sales rep, assuming you didn't purchase it online, then perhaps they can actually get you some examples. That's a huge thank you. Yeah, it's great. The scanning process might be a bit different, but we can certainly cover the concepts of how you would scan something like a boat. Yacht would be fun to see. So create lots of those. Okay, so let's assume you've unboxed your system. You've got your PLANIX. There are feet on the PLANIX, so you can actually plug it in and then have it standing upright on a desk next to you if you like. And there's also the USB in your case. So go ahead and locate that USB and then just insert it into your system. Once that's all good and done, your system is powered on. It will take some time to charge if you've not charged it at all. And then you will see a broadcast for Wi-Fi for the PLANIX. So once you see the Wi-Fi being broadcast, go to your smart device. You can also do it on your computer, and you can actually connect to the system through the Wi-Fi there. In fact, I'm going to see if we can keep this going on our live stream here while I connect. So when you turn on the PLANIX and you're searching for your Wi-Fi, you will see a Wi-Fi titled PLANIX dash and then some characters. That would be your PLANIX. That's your unique identifier. So I'm actually going to share more than just this window, and I'm going to see if we can share the entire screen. There we go. So I'm going to connect to the Wi-Fi there. Okay, and then we have to enter in a serial number. So we'll go ahead and do that. Let me just grab that here. Your serial number is located on the bottom of your system. It starts with MX for the PLANIX users and MS. So if you're using the IMS5, it doesn't help if we're stop sharing our screen. So I'll go back there in a moment. And we'll zip right back there. Great. So you should be connected. And now you will be prompted with a message that's saying that there is no internet connection. That is perfectly normal. That's expected. So the PLANIX is broadcasting Wi-Fi. It is not connecting you to the internet. That's an important distinction because a lot of the times people will connect to it and then they'll be concerned because they get the prompt saying that there's no internet. Perfectly normal. It is just a direct connection between the PLANIX and your mobile device. So when you are connected, you can go ahead and ignore that prompt stating that there's no internet connection. Now, it is also important to note that if you have an auto join setting on your phone, your internet, or rather your home Wi-Fi or office Wi-Fi might try to prioritize an internet connection, especially with all those apps in the background constantly doing a refresh. And so it may prioritize an active internet connection over the non-internet Wi-Fi of your PLANIX. It's not something you're going to experience while you're out in the field because you will not be connected to your home or office Wi-Fi. So just bear that in mind if you're going to do a test, a test project at home or your office. Just turn off your auto join for your home or office Wi-Fi and then connect to the PLANIX. Otherwise, you'll just connect as you normally would moving forward. Now, there is an app that I would recommend that you get. I will share that link. I'm going to connect to the system the old way, and we're going to go from there. So let me pull up the app. There we go. And let me see if I can share this link as well. So if you haven't already done so, I would encourage you to download the PLANIX app for your iOS device or Android. You should see that in the chat now. So after you have downloaded the app and it's installed on your device, simply tap on the app and you will see basically a couple options. Camera, projects, and settings will be on the bottom, And at the very top right, you'll see where it says new camera. So if you're doing this alongside me now, just send in the chat that you're working away here to keep up, so I don't want to get too far ahead of you. My goal is to make sure that you're connected by the end of the webinar and able to create a test project, for example. Not a whole scan, but just, connected and at least one scan. So just to recap a little bit, go to your Wi-Fi settings after you've turned on your PLANIX, locate the PLANIX Wi-Fi. It'll be called, PLANIX dash and then some characters. Connect to that. It will prompt you with a password requirement, which is the serial number for your system. It starts with MX and it is case sensitive. After you've entered that in, you'll be connected and prompted with a message saying that there is no internet connection. Completely normal. Proceed to stay on that connection. And then you'll open up the PLANIX app. And since I don't see any messages, I'm going to assume that you're following along and that everything is going well so far. So when you're in the PLANIX app, you'll see the new camera button on the very top right. Go ahead and tap that, and it's going to be searching for your system. You're going to be prompted with steps 1 of 3. So the first step is going to prompt you and say, ensure that the camera's powered on, and that the status light is solid blue. So once you see that, you can click next. And then it's going to ask for your connection method. We're going to click manual connection because we've already connected to the Wi-Fi through your system settings. Okay, it's going to prompt you to navigate to your Wi-Fi, select the camera, enter the password, which we've already done. And then you're going to click on open settings. It's going to confirm that there's a check mark. If you're using an iPhone, you're going to see that there's a blue check mark next to the PLANIX name. And so you're going to simply connect to it. And I'm going to reconnect to mine because I have not connected to it. Actually, I'm going to leave it on my screen. I feel like that might be more interesting. Okay. And you can have multiple devices connected to it at once. Just for this purpose, that's fine. Not something you're going to want to do every day. Just connecting to my test for PLANIX here. And we are connected. Blue check mark. We are good. And then if you're on the iPhone, you'll notice on the very top left, after you've connected to the Wi-Fi, it'll allow you to toggle back to the previous application, which is your PLANIX app. Once you've done that, it will confirm the connection to the camera. And for those of you that are following along, please let me know in the chat if you've gotten that far, if you've connected to your system. You can just say yes or connected, just to let me know and we'll keep moving forward. I think a lot of people will see the screen that says no internet connection and people kind of stop at that point. So I want to make sure that that's not where we stop today. And you can just comment in the comment section for those of you watching from YouTube. I think I'm getting a cold. I can hear my sinuses here. All right, so absent of comments, I will continue along. So once you're connected, you will see survey. Or rather, once you're connected, you'll see cameras, and then you'll see your camera listed with a green circle to the bottom right of the PLANIX image. That just confirms that you are connected. You just simply tap on that and it will load up survey. Now, the first time you load up survey, you'll be presented with the project section here. So we can enter in anything we like. We're going to write in example And then you can skip on the wall thickness for this testing purpose. And we're going to click on create. Then we're going to enter in the floor. So typically when you are working on a property, you're going to enter in the project name, which is usually the address of the property. But if you're going to use any sort of internal tracking system, maybe you've got project number, case number, you name it, you'll enter that as the project name. And then the floor is whatever you'd like it to be. Main floor, if you're using a yacht, perhaps you've got, the more appropriate naming conventions you want to use. Keep in mind that if you name it something in Survey, you can rename it later on, either in Stitch or after it's been published on the portal. So we're going to call this main floor, and we're going to click on create. Once you've gotten to that stage, you're going to see these options here. Just checking for any questions that might have come in. All right. All is well so far. All right, so let's hide this here. Okay, so this is your shutter button. Before you press that, especially when you're on site and you're actually working on a project, you will want to make sure that you've taken the lens cap off. It may sound like a silly thing to say, but you definitely want to take off the lens cap. And now, if anyone has expressed privacy concerns to you as far as they don't want certain imagery shown, you can assure them that you can disable certain panels either during the capturing process, which I can show you on screen, or after the iGUIDE, or during Stitch, which you can do before you've been submitted to us, or after it's been submitted to us and published. So you have multiple pathways in which you can, hide certain areas so that any sort of sensitive information isn't displayed. So, for example, if you're going to go into a bedroom and they don't want, the bedroom displayed, you can hide those panels, but you still need to capture that data. So you'll go in, you'll do the scan as you normally would for any other room in the home, but you can hide that panel during the process. But before we go too far into that, you've taken your lens cap off. I've left it on for my purpose here, and I'm going to go and hit scan. Now we should see possibly a bunch of cables. We'll find out. You're going to hear 2 beeps. That second beep, we know that the scanning is complete. You can actually pick up the system and continue on. Right, so we didn't get anything. So the PLANIX that I'm currently connected to, it is actually in the case and charging, which is actually a pretty safe way to keep your system, well, if you want to keep it safe and you don't want to knock it off your desk or anything like that, you can actually put it in the case and plug it in and power it on that way. I'll actually put it on something just so that I can show you what, oh, here we go, actually. So if your image looks like this, we know that the lens cap was left on. So if ever you submit data to us like this, or you notice this yourself while you're on site, the lens cap is on. So remove the lens cap and then continue on. Okay. Now you'll see here, it started to do some laser data scans. I'm not going to go and build a whole floor plan because our purpose today is just make sure you're connected and have the initial concepts and where we can locate information moving forward. But that's your scan button. So you're going to take your first scan. You're going to see the blue laser data here, and you would see an image on the top portion here. If you don't, it's because the lens cap is on. If I toggle on the very top right here, you're actually going to toggle between full image mode, full LiDAR data mode, and then a split screen. So the default here is the split screen, very useful. The full image mode is also useful, and we can go over why you'd want that. And then, of course, we toggle now to just the laser mode. This is great, too, if you want to kind of take a look at what you've produced thus far. You can zoom out. So if you're on a smartphone or any smart device, really, you just kind of pinch out like you would on an image and just zoom out. And you can do the opposite to zoom in. So zoom in and then zoom out. And this is great if you want to just kind of look around and see what coverage you have so far. This button here, if this button is white, you do need to get out of line of sight when you're scanning. So just good way to remember that. If this button is white, you need to get out of line of sight. Otherwise, you will appear in the image, and unless you're fine with that, probably want to avoid it. However, if you press the button here, and now it's blue, you can actually take the scan while still not having to run out of the room. So what you would do is you would actually stand behind the PLANIX, and behind the PLANIX just simply looks like you can see the power button and the USB. So if you're standing behind it, you can see the USB, you can see the power button. You are behind the PLANIX. You would press this button here, and then you'll be prompted with a message that states you can move to the other side of the camera. After it's given you that display, you do that and you press the shutter button again. That means that you don't have to be running in and out of rooms. This is especially great when you're on, if you're doing a large project, large hallways, a big open space. Let's say you're producing a radix iGUIDE and you just don't have anywhere to hide, or you just simply don't want to. That's a great option. So you'll see here this message, please walk around the camera and press the scan button. So we're going to go ahead and press that again after we've walked around. You're going to hear that beep, and then you're going to hear that second beep. Okay. Now we have the HDR button on the bottom here. I'm not going to tell you which one to use because it's really going to be up to you. But if you tap on it, it gives you your options. It will be impacted by lighting conditions. And so if you want to adjust for the exposure levels, this is where you're going to want to go. Perhaps create a test project for yourself and then just see which one works best for you. We also do have articles, which I'll show you how you can locate these things after. But that is also an option there. This is currently charging, so we're going to get that icon here. Otherwise, you're going to get a display for the amount of time left on the battery. Moving over here is the capacity on the drive, on the USB drive. It's a 16 gig drive. It's going to last you plenty as far as, if you're doing 3 to 5 projects a day, you're not going to have a problem. I think I recently looked at a project. It was roughly 80,000 square feet, and I believe it was roughly 20 gigabytes. So just to kind of give you some context of how many projects you can fit onto the drive. I don't recommend leaving everything on the drive indefinitely, but after you've uploaded it to us, you can either download the project onto an external hard drive and just keep the USB with minimal, which is probably a good idea, or you just delete the project altogether after it's been published. All right, you also have the align tool. That is something that we will locate here in your training documentation. But if ever you did want to, you can hit the align button and you'd be able to snap data together. So you'll see here, I've got the same scan twice. Let's just say I had the other side of it. I'd be able to rotate it and then just snap it into place and click the snap button. All right, there's also the real-time tagging option here. So if I were to click on this, I'm prompted with this edit tag option. So, you put anything you like in here. Generally speaking, people are going to use this for just making note of anything interesting on the property. Or if you're in the insurance space, perhaps you want to know water damage, fire damage, electrical, you name it. If you're in the construction industry, perhaps you want to make note of any sort of unique features that you want to address or bring to the attention of other contractors or project manager. There's a wide array of uses for the tagging feature. It does have a color coding system, which can be filtered after an iGUIDE's been published. So perhaps you've created your own internal system where, all blue is anything related to water, or, maybe that's gas, electricity, yellow, you name it. It's entirely up to you. You can add in text here. So if you want to give some form of contextual reminder for yourself later on, that's great. If you press this camera icon, which I can't do on the computer, it would prompt you for access to your mobile device's camera, at which point you can then take your phone or mobile device, and you just simply, point it at the device you want to scan. You take your image, and then it embeds that image into the iGUIDE itself, which is a really powerful feature. So let's just say, for example, there's an electrical outlet, and you want to make note of it. It's not certified in whatever regulations you need for your state or province. You do your nice close-up high-resolution image from your device, embeds that into the scan, and we're going to click Next. And we're going to click, well, this is maybe not the best example, but we're going to click here. You place the real-time tag on the object that you want to tag in real time. So let's just pretend that there's an outlet here. We've placed the tag here. I'm going to click Next. It's going to say, well, where is that tag relative to where that scan was taken? So let's just say we're going to use this as wall data here. So yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, it's on the wall over here, and I took the scan over here. So we're going to place the tag here because that's where that electrical outlet is. I'm going to click save. And now it's got the yellow look. And if I were to tap on it, it would pull up a nice high resolution image of that outlet that I've now placed into a real-time tag. And that will transfer over once the iGUIDE is published. You won't see it in Stitch, but you will see it once it's published. And that would be a good time to utilize the full image mode. So if you toggle on the very top right, you can use the image mode and then place that tag in maybe a way that you couldn't see it when you had split screen mode, especially if you've got a smaller screen on your phone. All right, so up here are the toggles between the number of scans that you have. So if you've got a number of scans, you can just toggle between them. It's great for when you want to go back and do real-time tagging on specific scans. Alternatively, you can go to the menu here. We call this the little hamburger menu. And if you click on scan, it'll show you the scans that you've done for that project. So let's say you're on site and someone says, hey, I don't want certain areas shown. There's a little pencil here. You can actually edit. So let's say it's Pano 0002. We actually have the option to hide in the portal. We can label it and say, bedroom. And then we can just say, do not display. You can write anything you like. And then we're going to click save. And so that means that once this is processed, if you're uploading it from your phone, our drafters will leave that hidden so that no one's going to see that other than, of course, yourself and the drafters. If you want to toggle to a new floor, so let's say you're in the same project, you just click on floor, and you can either click on the floor you've created already, and you can continue from that floor, or you can create a new floor here. So let's say you're in a typical home, you've scanned the whole main floor, you now want to go to the second floor, you take a scan at the bottom of the stairs, and then you go to your settings here, go to floor, go to the drop down here, and then just click second floor, and then click on create. Now, if I go back to the settings here, and then I go to floor, you'll see now that I can toggle between main floor or second floor. If for some reason you forgot that you forgot a space on the main floor, you can actually click on the main floor, go back downstairs, locate that space, and take the missing scans for that area. Just make sure that you have overlapping data between the space that you missed and just before then. So if it was let's say a laundry room, just open the door to that laundry room and take a scan, and then enter into that laundry room, because that's going to provide you with overlapping data as you proceed. Okay, we've got our second floor. Now, if you want to upload from your phone, you can actually go to your project, and you'll actually have a download option. And then from there on the app, it's going to look a little bit different than what I've got here on my screen. But on the app, once you've clicked on that download icon, you'll be presented with the option to stitch or export that. And then you'll see a loading screen saying stitching panos. Let me see if I can do that right now, just so you can see what that looks like. It's only 2 panos, so it won't take long. So export to stitch tar. Okay, I'm going to click on this. And you'll see exporting stitch tar. It'll show you the number of scans. And that should be processed rather quickly. Okay, once we click finish. Now, unfortunately, I don't have an option to show you what the app looks like exactly on the computer. But on your mobile device, you'll have a tab on the very bottom middle that says projects. Once you click on that, you'll be able to see your project, and there is a share button. You just tap on that, and then it'll prompt you with a screen that says project upload, and then you can click on open portal. So that covers, I would say, the very basics of getting connected and taking some scans, and then beginning the process for uploading to the portal. So far, no questions, so I'm going to continue along. One thing I would recommend you do is log into the portal on your mobile device that you're going to be using the majority of the time when you're doing your scans, and save those login credentials, so that way you're just auto-logged in all the time. So we're going to log into the portal. And we're going to be prompted to go to this screen here, create iGUIDE. So once we're here, this is where you're going to choose your industry. So when you click on this drop down here, you've got your options available to you here. If you're unsure, just pick the industry that's more closely aligned with what you are working on. So if you're doing renovations, obviously you're going to want to be in the construction area, but you pick whichever is most applicable. So we're going to click architect and engineering, construction. We're going to click on a standard iGUIDE. With standard iGUIDEs, you can always upgrade them later on to a premium if you like. You do have your free add-ons, so you don't have to use any of these. Even though they're enabled as an option for you to use, it doesn't mean that they're on by default. A common question that I've received is, will the property be available via Google Street View? Not unless you export it. And if you're in the residential real estate, that is a no-no. So if you have this enabled, it still requires that you go and export it to Google if you want to. So if you're doing CRE, commercial real estate, then bear that in mind. You still do need to export it, even though this is enabled. Floor Planner is a third-party platform. They're able to use our data and produce some really interesting renders of the property. So it's a lot of fun. It's a very useful tool, very popular tool as well. So it's free. I would leave that enabled and explore that. And then the advanced measurements, that would be utilizing the measurement tool, which there's plenty of materials we have on that already, so I won't dive into that too much, more than I already have, I suppose. And then we have the paid add-ons for iGUIDE VR, Xactimate ESX, and AutoCAD DWG. So for VR, that's included in premium iGUIDEs. So if you have a virtual reality headset, you can use that to explore the property after you've had it published. So that's actually really neat. For those of you who might be thinking it, I don't know if the Vision Pro from Apple is compatible yet. I believe that is to be determined, but sit tight. I'm sure we'll confirm that soon enough. So I've had that asked a couple times. Step 3 is entering a property address. You do need to enter a property address before you can continue to upload anything. So that is important. You do need to have that entered. If you type up here, it'll pre-populate from Google. So a lot of people will start entering it all manually here, which is fine. You're welcome to do that. But if you enter it up here, let's say we do that, it pulls it from Google and then allows you to just enter it in and pre-populates for you. So that can save you some time. We're going to click on select. And we know that's been applied because we see the mini map looking like this. So if you don't see this, if you don't see something that looks like this, you didn't enter in the property address, just confirm that. You can skip these stages immediately if you don't have those materials ahead of time. People, in short, actually, there's some materials that I can send to you on that because that'll save us some time to explore some questions that are going to formulate, I'm sure, nearing the end. But essentially, if you've added someone as an editor, it allows them access to make changes to the iGUIDE. So labels, hiding or showing floors or panos would be a good way to kind of delegate some tasks if you've got a larger team. But step 6. So steps 1, 2, 3, and 6 are required. Step 6, of course, has the caveat that you could create an iGUIDE with no data, but we won't touch that today. So steps 1, 2, 3, and 6 are what you're going to be working with primarily. Now, you can get an email sent to you once your iGUIDE's been published, when the iGUIDE preview is ready. And then you can also have this option here, iGUIDE processing, skip pre-publishing, automatically publish regardless of missing areas or scans. So if, for example, you've scanned a home and you intentionally left out a space, you're basically, if you check this off, you're saying to our drafting team, I'm aware that this is not complete. I want this property as it currently is, and they will draft it as you've submitted it. However, you do need to ensure that the data is aligned, and then they will be able to proceed. So long as everything's been aligned properly, they will draft the space as you've submitted it. And if there's a room that you did not scan, and perhaps later on your client says, oh, actually, I do want you to go back and scan it, you can go back and scan it, and just that room, and perhaps just a scan outside of that room for context with the door open. And then you can submit it as an update later on. But if you click on this, the iGUIDE will not be flagged, and you will not be notified that there's a missing space. So bear that in mind. It's an option for you. This is where you would drag and drop the exported stitch tar. So this will be pre-populated through the app. It'll say the file name here. So currently I have no file selected, of course. But when you're uploading it from your mobile device, the file will be pre-populated when you're uploading this from the app. Unfortunately, I don't have an app simulation on the computer, just what we're working with here. iGUIDE galleries. So you can drag and drop images here if you want. I generally would recommend you do this after the fact. So after you click on create, you can just go to the iGUIDE gallery and drop everything in there. It's better to just have your tar data uploaded to us because that's the most crucial element of this whole process. Okay. So let's see if there's any questions. Let me just hop back over to the chat. A little bit of ginger ale, why not? I definitely am getting sick. All right. No one else in the chat? Okay. Just checking the private chat here. Nope. Okay, good. So next, and most importantly, how do you receive help when you need it? If for some reason you run into any sort of hiccups and you need some assistance, our support team is available Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. You can either reach them toll free on the phone numbers here. I do recommend you add these to your contacts. Call it iGUIDE support, iGUIDE emergency support, you name it. They are your go-to people for all things iGUIDE product support related. You can also create a ticket, and this is probably my most recommended way for you to reach out to support. And the reason for that is you can send a ticket in at any time. So if you've got a question and it's 11 p.m., you don't have to wait until 9 a.m. to call in. You can create your ticket, send it off, and they're going to check those tickets first thing in the morning. So you're getting your day started. You go and check your tickets. That might have been answered for you. And they're very quick to respond. And they're going to not only answer you, they're also going to direct you to the information that you might need. So if you've got a question about, how do I hide a panel, for example, or how do I disable an entire floor? Product support team's going to be able to help you out with that. And they're going to send you documentation on how you can do it for next time so that if the question ever comes back, the ticket's the best spot for you because you can just refer to that and see what the answer was rather than having to call in every single time. But hey, if you just prefer to hear a human voice, call them and they will help you. On that note, when you go to your support tab, and for those of you who are following along on your computer, I encourage you to do this now. Go ahead and open up that support tab, and you're going to be prompted with a sign-in. Let's not do it like that. Let's go like this way. There we go. That's what I wanted. So it's going to ask you to log into the support portal. This login is not the same login that you use for the portal. I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but it is technically a separate login. You can use the same credentials. You just have to sign up. So after you've signed up, and you want to use the same email and the same password that you use for the portal, perfectly fine. But just make sure that you do sign up if you've not already done so. And then that will allow you to not only create tickets, but you'll have a section that lists the tickets that you had in the past. And so that if you're looking to, check in on a ticket that you've created, you want to check the status, you just log in and you can see it listed for you. Any questions about reaching out to our support team or creating tickets? I know Kinetic Aerial Productions, I know you had questions about your floor plans for boats and yachts. So support team would be a great spot to check out. If you don't want to reach out to the support team, and that's perfectly fine, we do have our help center. So this is a spot that I would highly recommend that you bookmark. You can check this at any time. So that is help.youriguide.com. Let me see if I can pull it up on the screen for everyone. There we go, and I'll hide that ticker as well. There we go. So help.youriguide.com. From here, you can just use on the very top right, and you can enter in whatever you'd like to learn about our product. There's lots of information, lots of learning can happen here. It's a great spot. So At the very bottom of the screen, if you want to change it to day mode, you can do that. I am going to switch it back to dark mode. But yes, if you put in your search bar at the very top right here, you can ask it. And if we've got the information, which we should, it'll pull it up for you. Otherwise, you can also create a support ticket. All right, so we have covered survey. We've covered the first steps of creating a new iGUIDE. And we've covered how to reach out to support and the help center. Let me just circle back to the chat window here. Are there any questions that have come in, or any of you have any questions? I see there's a couple of you here, so I want to make sure that everyone is feeling pretty confident. I can go back to something that we've covered, but I do want to just make sure that by the end of the session, you feel comfortable connecting to your camera, connecting to your PLANIX, and logging into the portal, and how to reach out to our support team if you need help. And kinetic aerial productions, if you like, I can do a brief overview of how you would capture perhaps the main deck portion, not including how you would deal with elevations, but just for a yacht, for example. So generally speaking, actually, I just want to make sure you're still here. Is there another session about working with the completed iGUIDEs? That can be arranged. If not, if you have any questions about it, then you can, you use the help center, for example, and in the search here, you can say, how do I change a label, for example? And let's see what we can come up with here. I might have put in too many search strings. Let's do how to change label, adding and changing labels. So we've got interactive demos, which are really great. We've put some time into making these, so I do encourage you to make use of them. So if we get started here, it shows you exactly what to do on changing labels, for example, with a completed iGUIDE. We got this little pulse here, so it gives you step-by-step on what to do and how to accomplish each task. We are constantly updating this and building out new materials, but any questions you have regarding how to do something on the iGUIDE, we should have these sorts of interactive materials. If not, we've got training materials available to you. Yeah, you're very welcome, Caleb. Lots of materials here. I'm still clicking away because it's just kind of fun to click. All right, I'm going to stop that one there. But yes, don't shy away from the Help Center. It is your most powerful ally next to our support team, of course. So yes, any questions? Any other questions? Thank you, Caleb, by the way. I appreciate that. If there are no questions, I will probably wrap this up a little bit earlier, as much as I enjoy sharing the materials. It sounds like I'm getting sick, and so I don't want to overextend my vocal cords today. But I'll be happy to answer any questions that do come in now. Okay. Okay. For those of you who are still tuned in, if you go to goiguide.com and you load up that page and you go to resources, and you go to downloads. So that's goiGUIDE.com, resources, downloads. You can actually scroll down a bit and you'll see Stitch. Now, this is not required software. This is our proprietary software that allows us to edit an iGUIDE before we submit it. Again, there's lots of materials in the Help Center regarding Stitch, how to use Stitch, but I just want to make sure that you're able to locate it. Okay. Once you've downloaded it, let's bring that back up. And I'm erasing this one. Let's go back to Stitch. So if you type in Stitch, you can follow it through your industry. We can train you on all of this training material here is on a per industry basis, but let's just use this one. This is probably the most common. Stitch, turning panels on and off. So I've got Stitch here on the bottom. It's a little house. I'm going to bring it over here. And I'm just going to load up my example. And so this is an example of a property. So if you do use Stitch, it allows you to basically just take another look at the project before you submit it. There are a couple of other utilizations that can occur with Stitch, but primarily it's just making sure everything looks as it needs to, saving it, and then clicking this export button here. Again, there's materials on our Help Center that show what each of these buttons are. However, you can also click on the question mark here, and it also tells you what each button does. And it is Mac compatible. If you are going to use Stitch, I do highly, highly recommend that you use a 3-button scroll wheel mouse. It's not a requirement. You can use the touchpad on a laptop. However, after experiencing both the mouse and the touchpad, the mouse is certainly the way to go. Just having the scroll wheel allows you to zoom in and out very easily. The touchpad, it also works. As you can see here, I'm using it. It's just I find the mouse is a bit more fine-tuned with the amount of zooming that can occur. All right, so no new questions have come in, and I'm going to give it until 2:50, so it's 2:48. And so if no new questions come in, I guess we'll end it early, and we'll do another one of these, and we'll perhaps have a different test project that we can utilize while doing the live demonstration. I found that was quite interesting to be able to see it on screen for you all in real time, but perhaps I'll have a different approach for the next one. Hopefully, those of you who were following along were able to get connected to your system and create a test project, and hopefully can use that experience to scan your own office or home or friend or family's home and just become more comfortable with it. As you use the system, you will discover that you may have questions, and so that's really the best way to jump into this is just get connected to your system as early as possible and just start scanning. You're not being charged for scanning on your own time and creating test projects on your USB. It's only once you've submitted it to us that's when any sort of fees occur. So create several projects on the USB, test it out, scan an entire home, follow line of sight, and just see how comfortable you can become after doing a number of scans. There is one video that I would highly recommend. Let me see if I can pull that up for you, and I'll share it as well. There are many videos, but let's just share that here. If you do only watch one video, it would be this line of sight video. If you focus on line of sight, especially at the very beginning, take your time when you're scanning. So focus on accuracy over speed, and you will find that the floor plans build themselves as you scan the property. It's going to save you a lot of time. Your final product will turn out great, and you'll overall be just very satisfied with the end results. So with that in mind, and since no new questions have come in for quite some time now, I will wish you all a great rest of your day. And we'll do this again soon enough, perhaps more frequently, as I mentioned, and perhaps we'll break it down into smaller topics with regards to getting started. I think today was a great overview of getting connected, and hopefully it was helpful. You're very welcome, Tom. Hopefully you were able to get connected today. And if you have any questions, please reach out to support. They're happy to help, and we'll work with you to make sure that you're feeling very comfortable and confident using your system. All right, until next time, everyone. Bye for now.